goddamn homemade box call over.
Yeah, it sounds like a turkey call. Instead of G plus, it should be G turkey or G spot. Hello, and welcome back to HunterTuned, the home of turkey call throttle bodies and bent drive shafts.
Yeah.
So, anyways, we are assembling my intake manifold and going to put it onto the Mustang today. But I figured I would take the drive shaft out of this thing because I'm like, I just had a bad feeling about it banging around underneath the car. I did have the safety loops on it, and it didn't look like it broke. The yoke did come off of the front of it, obviously, where it goes into the transmission, and it did kind of scrape some of the paint off. But if you guys look at this thing, you probably won't be able to tell on camera, but this drive shaft is actually bent. So it does have a little bit of a bow to it.
It's bent this way.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the drive shaft back to Fleet Pride and see if they will fix it or what they can do for me, because like I said, this thing is bent. It's probably going to vibrate, probably not going to work. And yeah, so hopefully I don't get soaked for a brand new drive shaft. That would really suck, because yeah, we don't want to do that. But hopefully they can at least like use what I have here and just like maybe fix it, or just replace the, you know, chunk of steel there and then rebalance the ends, stuff like that. I don't know. So anyways, we just got back from the store. We are going to finish up putting the intake on the car, have the old one off, and we actually did some homemade stuff today. We actually made a throttle cable bracket for the car. So what we did is we actually just took a piece of fucking flat stock, and
it's the same piece of aluminum that we used for the windshield. And all we did was, because they were what, 4 feet or something like that long, and so we cut them to size. And this is actually the piece that I used to see if it would rivet to the plastic and work. So
yeah, we did use some of this. We had some extra stuff from making the braces for the windshield on the car. So what we ended up doing is we made the throttle cable bracket, and we just bolted it to the fuel rails, or the fuel rail on this side, and this bolt right here is where it goes through the throttle cable. There's actually a little eyelet on it, so that's where the bolt goes through on the bracket, and then that just hooks into the G-spot throttle body, and we can just use the cruise control spot because this is the stock Mustang throttle body. And yeah, so we took the throttle body back off of this thing because we are just doing some finishing touches. I actually had to shim the TPS because the throttle body on this G-spot fucking throttle body, when the TPS was bolted all the way down, the throttle would be like sticky. It didn't have much, or it was just like, it was notchy. You could feel the TPS kind of hanging up in a few spots. And I had to do this on a couple Skunk 2 throttle bodies too, where like you space the TPS off. Or if you have like a sticking throttle body in general, take the TPS off, and that's where I usually start. And if it doesn't stick with the TPS on, it's something to do with the TPS or the spacing of the TPS or whatever. So I just put a few little shims underneath the TPS there, and now she's all dogpile chicken smile. Got the idle air control valve on there. We just tapped the top of this thing for an 1/8" pipe thread, because this throttle body normally has like the, just like the stock one does, it has like the outlet to run for the PCV. I don't know where I put my stock one, but what I did on the stock one is I just welded it shut. So like that little nipple there, I just welded it shut on the stock one. And on this one, it comes with like a press fit deal. But I just took that out and we just tapped it for a pipe plug. And I'm just going to put an 1/8" pipe plug in there, and we should be all good. So that's the throttle body side of things. This thing seems like it's pretty good. I didn't check the bolts and I didn't Loctite them. I know a lot of guys say that you should do that. So I might end up doing that. It's just 2 Phillips head screws here. Make sure those are tight. And then, yeah, so everything's good to go there. And then as for the intake manifold, we got the old one off. We got the map sensor taken out of the old one. And I think that's it. And the injectors and the fuel rails. I could not use my old rails. I had to use the rails from the new kit here because they're a 3-bolt design instead of the 2-bolt. So we got the rails bolted on. Everything is looking super nice. We got the fittings installed, the crossover, all that stuff fit really good. But the the feed line for the rails, I have a -10, so I put my -10 on the one side, and then, you know, injectors, brackets, all that stuff. These brackets are pretty neat. They work good. It's kind of hard to tighten the bottom bolts, but other than that, it worked pretty good. This back port on the manifold was plugged, and then you take off this little plug thing, and there's like a wide open hole there. So I kind of finagled an O-ring on top of the normal rubber grommet that sits on the map sensor, and I used their supplied washer and bolt to bolt the map sensor down. So the map sensor is actually on the back, pretty snug, shouldn't leak. Honestly, if the LS1 intake manifold map sensor didn't leak, this one definitely won't, because factory LS1 is just like a little clip. Like, I can't believe they don't blow out. But anyways, we are going to be getting the rest of this installed onto the car now. We're actually just putting the gaskets on this thing. So we're just going to press fit the gaskets that came with it. They're just like a grooved thing. So they're like a press fit thing, and then they stay in there. Hopefully they stay in there. So we're just going to push all these gaskets in.
All good.
Oh, and then we also installed the barb fittings that come with this thing. One of them is going to be for brake booster. One of them is going to be for the TPS, or not the TPS, the fucking boost controller. One's going to be for the blow off, and then one's going to be for the boost controller. I think I said that right. Alrighty guys, so we got the intake manifold bolted onto the car. We have the fuel rails installed. All the lines are on, and everything is looking good. We actually had to go to the hardware store and get some bolts that actually bolt the intake to the cylinder heads, because in the kit there wasn't enough bolts to bolt it down all the way. So that kind of sucked, but anyways, we did get it installed, and everything is looking good. This moth is huge. Wow.
I got some big old hands.
Wow, he looks kind of scary. So anyways, I wanted to kind of show you guys the throttle cable bracket that me and Christian made today. This is the so the bracket just kind of bolts, it runs along the fuel rails here and uses 2 mounts on the fuel rails, and then comes up to this where the eyelet is for the cable, and we got that all situated onto here. So that is good to go. Everything is good to go on this thing. The only thing I did notice is the idle is a little bit high, even at the lowest setting on this thing. We did check for vacuum leaks. We plugged the throttle body, and the car does indeed stall out. So I don't think there's any vacuum leaks on it. We did run all the hoses. Another thing about this manifold that kind of sucks is the fittings they give you are like straight up and down fittings. They're not a 90 or a 45 or anything like that. And the straight fittings that go into the manifold on the bottom side are really close to the valley cover, so it's kind of hard to run the hoses through there and not kink them. So that was a little bit tricky. We did manage. One of them's got a little bit of a bend in it, but you know, there's nothing we can really do about it now. Now I got it installed. I wish I would have put 90s on it, and maybe we'll do that at a later date, but I think it'll be okay for now. Got our fuel pressure regulator hose vacuum line hooked up. We have the vacuum line coming out the front here for the blow-off valve, and then I already ran the line from the manifold down to my max solenoid for the boost controller, which is right here. And then we also have one last vacuum line for the brake booster. So that's pretty much the whole vacuum system on the car. Pretty simple, not a whole lot going on. We do have to get a plug for the top of this still. I have to get an 1/8 inch pipe fitting plug to plug that up, or the set screw or something like that. And we still have to figure out the throttle body situation, because the way that the intercooler piping was before, it kind of came off at a angle down this way, and now with the new throttle body, it is angled downward, so it's a little bit trickier to get the pipe to fit, considering this is such a sharp bend. I might have to redo this pipe. I might do that tomorrow or something. maybe cut the blow-off valve off, get a different 90, and figure a different situation out. It almost fits better going the opposite way, but it's still going to be a little bit tricky, and I still don't have a 4 to 3 inch coupler. We have this Fernco coupler here just to kind of throw things on for mock-up, and that does fit, but it's a little bit loose on the intercooler piping side of things. So, plus I wouldn't really want to run it anyway for high boost. I feel like the Fernco's blow out, but Christian says he wants me to. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe once the car's reliable, we'll throw some Fernco couplers on it, and then see how fast we can go with a Fernco coupler.
Full PVC kit?
Yeah, PVC on the Mustang.
Oshkosh Police Department is looking for an individual for this car, but they block out a license plate.
We did fire this thing up, guys, and let me just tell you, this intake is definitely sucking a lot more air. It is like, the intake is louder than the exhaust. It's crazy how loud the intake is on this thing. In the throttle body, it's just ginormous flow through this manifold compared to that LS1. Me and Michael were actually shining a flashlight through the LS1 intake, and it's definitely not great. So, just to kind of see the comparison between how much restriction there is in that manifold versus this, where it's literally just a wide open plenum, which is perfect for boost. So hopefully the welds don't crack, and hopefully this thing holds up, because I've heard some horror stories, and you guys have already been giving me shit about this manifold, saying that the welds are going to crack or the welds are going to break, and there has been guys out there where the welds have cracked and, you know, the intakes will balloon and shit like that. But we're just going to try it. We're going to see if it holds up. If it doesn't, then, you know, you guys can tell me that you told me so. But we're going to give it a shot. This was like the cheapest option that I could go with, you know, at the time. So we're just going to send it, see what it does. But yeah, before, when I started this thing, it doesn't have the transmission hooked up right now. But we just kind of wanted to fire it up to see how everything was working and make sure that there wasn't like any crazy big vacuum leaks or anything like that. So I'm just going to fire it up quick and show you guys. But the first time we started this thing, I gave it some gas and I kind of snapped the throttle and the car died. It stalled out because it was so lean. So the tune definitely needs a little bit more fuel added into it. The throttle response is amazing with this setup, but like I said, the tune isn't set up for it currently, and my laptop's at my house. So without further ado, yeah, you can see, like, if I blip the throttle really fast, it literally just dies. Like, it fucking just shuts off because it's so lean. But if I like roll into the throttle, it's like wham, like just it's snappy as shit. So yeah, I'm excited. So hopefully this thing picks up some mile an hour and some ET at the track now with the new manifold. We have to figure out what we're going to do with the intercooler piping still and get the transmission back and figure out the damn drive shaft. So that sucks. But I'm going to take the drive shaft in tomorrow and hopefully get the transmission back tomorrow or the next day as well, so we can just keep rolling right along on down the line with all the stuff we have to do. So I think that's it. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Be sure to go check out HunterTuned.com, pick up some injectors if you guys are in need of some, and pick up a sticker while you're there. Anyways, thanks for watching the video, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys thought of today's video, and we will see you later. Have a great night and a better tomorrow.